Welcome to another lesson for the Life in the UK test. Today's lesson will focus on the late 20th century. We ended the previous lesson with the end of the Second World War. In all of this, one figure came to represent British determination and leadership more than any other: Churchill. He was more than just a political leader, he was a symbol of resistance. His powerful speeches, such as "We shall fight on the beaches" and "Never surrender," rallied the nation in its darkest days. After the war, however, he lost the 1945 election, but he did return to office in 1951. He retired from Parliament in 1964, and after his death the following year, he received a full state funeral. Even today, Churchill is remembered as one of Britain's most significant historical figures. After the Second World War, Britain was militarily victorious but economically drained. The war had exposed deep weaknesses in society, and the public was ready for change. In 1945, Clement Attlee's Labour government came to power, guided by the Beveridge Report. Changes took place. Beveridge had identified the five giant evils: poverty, poor health, lack of education, poor housing, and unemployment. His vision shaped landmark reforms, including the creation of the NHS and the modern welfare state. So, to tackle these deep-rooted social problems, the government created the National Health Service in 1948, led by Health Minister Nye Bevan. For the first time, healthcare became available to everyone in the UK, regardless of income. Alongside this, a welfare system was established to support citizens from birth to old age. The state also took control of critical industries like rail, coal, and energy, believing they were too important to be left to market forces. Richard Austin Butler, a conservative politician, transformed education during the war years with the 1944 Education Act. This introduced free secondary schooling in England and Wales, aiming to widen access and opportunity. Although the school system has changed since then, the division between primary and secondary education remains Butler's legacy. Britain contributed some of the most significant inventions of the modern era. These include everyday technology like television and the cash machine, medical advances such as insulin, DNA research, and IVF, and transport breakthroughs like the hovercraft, Concorde, and Harrier jet. Perhaps the most influential was the creation of the World Wide Web by Tim Berners-Lee in 1990, which transformed global communication. Speaking of inventions and discoveries, something that happened a little bit earlier was a big discovery by Alexander Fleming, who accidentally came across penicillin in 1928, thereby revolutionizing modern medicine. Although Fleming identified the mole's antibacterial properties, it was to other scientists, Florey and Chain, who turned it into a usable medicine. By the 1940s, it was being mass-produced, saving countless lives, especially during the war. In recognition, Fleming shared the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1945. As Britain was rebuilding its health and economy, it also needed help to rebuild its workforce. With much of its workforce lost during the war, Britain actively encouraged immigration to fill essential jobs. People came from Ireland, mainland Europe, and notably the Caribbean. Later, others arrived from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Specific efforts were made to recruit for industries like transport and manufacturing. These immigration waves not only helped rebuild the country, but also laid the foundation for the UK's diverse population today. As previously mentioned, in 1951, Winston Churchill returned as Prime Minister when the Conservatives came back to power. He was succeeded in 1955 by Anthony Eden, whose premiership was overshadowed by the Suez Crisis, a failed military intervention in Egypt which damaged Britain's international reputation. In 1957, Harold Macmillan took office, overseeing a period of recovery and rising prosperity. Macmillan famously declared that the British people had never had it so good, capturing the spirit of economic optimism. Yet he also recognized global change. In his 1960 Wind of Change speech, he acknowledged the irreversible movement towards independence among Britain's colonies. While there was lots going on within Britain, a lot of changes were also happening globally. especially within the British Empire. A key aspect of this era was Britain's gradual move away from being an imperial power. Many of its former colonies gained independence, starting with India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. Many Caribbean nations gained independence in the 60s and 70s. This wave of decolonization continued for the next 2 decades. Most countries of the British Empire eventually became independent in the 20th century, but some territories, mostly small islands in the Caribbean, South Atlantic, and Pacific, remained under British rule. They are not fully part of the UK, but the UK handles defence, foreign policy, and security, while each territory has local self-government. Residents are British citizens, though. A clear example of the UK's role is the Falklands War in 1982. When Argentina invaded the Falklands, the UK sent a task force and defended the islands, showing its commitment to protecting its territories. These overseas territories differ from the Commonwealth, which is made up of independent countries, listed on the next slide. So, the Commonwealth is a group of countries that work together on shared aims such as promoting democracy and development. While most members used to be colonies of the British Empire, some, Mozambique, Rwanda, and Togo, never were but chose to join because they supported the Commonwealth's values of democracy, development, and cooperation, and wanted stronger international ties. Membership is voluntary, and the organization cannot enforce laws, though it can suspend members that don't follow its principles. King Charles is the symbolic head of this community of 56 nations. After the post-war recovery and some 1960s social changes, Harold Wilson became Prime Minister in 1964. His government introduced significant social reforms, including laws on abortion, divorce, and equal pay, helping to modernize British society. At the same time, Wilson faced economic challenges such as rising inflation and frequent strikes. In 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first female prime minister. She led the Conservative government for over a decade, promoting free market policies, reducing the power of trade unions, and privatizing state-owned industries. Her approach, known as Thatcherism, emphasized individual responsibility and economic self-reliance, which marked a major shift from previous governments. John Major succeeded Thatcher in 1990 and continued many of her policies while focusing on stabilizing the economy and maintaining domestic and international stability. His government also navigated complex relations with the European Union, setting the stage for debates that would continue into the 21st century. Meanwhile, in Northern Ireland, the Troubles were violent conflicts between loyalists, mostly Protestants, wanting to remain part of the UK, and nationalists, mostly Catholics, wanting a united Ireland. Ireland already had been split in 1922, and Northern Ireland chose to remain part of the UK, while the rest became the Irish Free State, later the Republic of Ireland. The Troubles were about what should happen to Northern Ireland after that split, whether it should stay in the UK or join with the Republic of Ireland. British troops were deployed to maintain order, but their presence was sometimes controversial. Peace finally came with the Good Friday Agreement in 1998, bringing Northern Ireland its own devolved government, creating a power-sharing government and confirming that Northern Ireland would remain in the UK unless a majority voted otherwise. And with that, we have arrived at the end of this lesson. Here you have an overview. As usual, in the notes you can find links to further resources. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next lesson.